Hey, what's up, YouTube? Well, welcome to May. We're finally in May. It's May 4th, so I guess I could say May the 4th be with you. I don't know why people started saying that, but I guess it has to do with Star Wars or something. But anyway, it's May 4th. Tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. And I just wanted to make a video to say that my shirt says bushels of love, but that is certainly not how I'm feeling, because it is so frustrating that every time I list something on eBay, for some reason nobody wants to bid. Now, why is that? Why is it that nobody wants to bid on what I have to sell? I mean, I'm not selling anything too expensive, but for some reason, and I guess I would love this if I were a buyer, it is just so rare for a doll like the ones that I'm willing to part with to get any bids whatsoever. It's like you have to relist and relist and relist. And, you know, it just takes forever to finally get someone interested in them. So, anyway, why nobody is interested in my dolls is just something I don't understand. But it's really got me down. And so a number of things are going on. The dryer being one of them, unfortunately. And so I just wanted to make my first video in May, and I'm not sure what I want to title it. I have a number of things that I'd like to talk about. But I think I want to title it Letting Go of the Past. Okay, and what I mean by that is, you know, today is the day when Yahoo Answers is officially shut down, meaning I cannot view my profile whatsoever, cannot view any of the questions posted. And while I don't really care that much about that, you know, I really don't care about the actual content that I posted on Yahoo Answers. In fact, I'm somewhat glad that it is finally being deleted from the internet. And I just hope they don't find some way to make it available, you know, only without my username and all that. Although that would be better than having it available with my username, especially involving my original account. But I haven't really looked at that content for years. But what I just want to title this video, Letting Go of the Past. And it is so appropriate for, you know, a video where I'm trying to sell some dolls and Yahoo Answers is shutting down. Because it's like, you know, things you just never thought you would ever have to part with for various reasons. Well, they eventually come to an end at some point in your life. And hopefully at some point in your life, because the other alternative would be for them to outlive you, if you know what I mean. And so there comes a day in everyone's life when they just have to part with certain things that they were attached to for so long, even during times when they had somewhat forgotten about them. And in my case, you know, Yahoo Answers, I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous for me to keep talking about it, considering how little I had been participating these past few years. You know, when they got rid of the avatars, that pretty much killed my interest in the site. You know, it's like it was a huge part of my life. You know, it was an identity that I had. You know, I was a level 7 participant, and I used the word points in so many of my usernames. Okay? And I feel like that part of my identity is dying somehow. It's almost like if you had a child, one child with special needs, let's say they had a disease or something that made it unlikely for them to live to be very old, okay? And in every username you put the word so-and-so's mommy or something like that, so-and-so's mom, the name of your child with special needs. And that was your identity. That's what you based your identity on, is the fact that you were the mother of a child, with this medical condition. Okay, and let's say your child dies. Okay, so now you don't have any children living. So it's like, what do? You have all these accounts and all these usernames and all that, and it says mommy or mom, and your child is dead. So it's like you have to let go of that part of your identity. And I feel like it's just especially hard on us women, even though I was participating as a male, it's just so hard on us to be very creative or original. And I really wanted to make a video about why women are not as funny as men, but I just found more to say on this topic. It's very hard for us to be very creative or original, when it comes to identities, coming up with something cool or, unique that really defines us, other than, someone's name or some relationship to someone, so-and-so's girl, Mrs. John Doe. You know what I'm saying? It just infuriates me how women just have always historically defined themselves, in relation to the men in their lives. They only felt a sense of purpose if they were, they went from some man's daughter to some man's wife to some boy's mom, and then eventually to a grandma. So yeah, it's almost like, women have always, and when I looked at it from that standpoint, that's when I started to no longer want to be male, and I lost the motivation to keep participating as this male user on Yahoo Answers. Although I did leave my account the way it was and I just stopped participating, I pretty much got to a certain number of points, and I sort of parked it there, because really, once you've crossed over the 25,000 line and then you get a few 100,000 more points, it's like, why do you really need more points? You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to be number one in the world, it's like it doesn't really matter. You're just another level 7 account. So I kind of stopped participating and I lost interest when a number of things happened. One of them being Hurricane Ike, when we were without power for a week, so I couldn't do anything anyway. And at the time I didn't have an iPhone, nor would I have been able to charge it. But it just kind of killed my motivation. That, plus the fact that, I started listening to Pastor Anderson and realizing that, whether or not the Bible expressly condemns participating as a male on Yahoo Answers, it's still not the most Christian thing to do, if you know what I mean. And I sort of felt weird, logging onto this account every time I did it. But I didn't want to, change it to a female, after well over a year of participating as a male, if you know what I mean. So I kind of lost some motivation. And once I discovered the trans community on YouTube, I started to see the ugly truth about what it really means to try to live as the opposite gender, specifically female to male. And I started to realize that no, I'm not as severe a case as some of those guys, or whatever you want to call them, on YouTube that are genuinely trying to live as a male, despite their genitals being female. Okay, and I started to realize that, you become implacable, so to speak. It's like the more, the further you get into it, the more you want to do to your body, if you know what I mean. In the beginning, you might just be content to, find some way to get on testosterone and just have a somewhat deeper voice. But once you get that deeper voice, it's like you start needing more and more and more changes to feel happy. And I just decided that I really didn't want to go down that path. And I was told in no uncertain terms in 2010 that my parents didn't support me. Okay, so that killed any ideas I may have had about it, thus destroying a lot of my motivation that I felt to participate as this male entity. And so with Yahoo Answers closing, I'm starting to actually think seriously about, well, I don't know if I'm ready to do it just yet, but a possibility in the future where I may one day actually delete once and for all that account, as well as the other account. Basically, that's not the first time I participated as a male user. Because the truth, like I've stated before, is that for a year I only had my original email address. And of course, I put that I was female because that's the truth. Okay, in 2005, that was the only email address I had. But then Yahoo Answers and the little avatar people caused me to create multiple accounts of both genders. Okay, I have deleted all but my original account and the first boy account, so to speak. I'm not going to say male because that sounds like MAIL, which is what they all are. The first boy avatar account that I created as my virtual boyfriend, so to speak, with the name that I would like to go by because it's similar to my real name. Okay? And both my account and that one were suspended, along with all the others, for point gaming in 2006. But thankfully, I never lost the email portion. In all these years, it was only the Answers account that they deleted. So, that's 2. And then, of course, I have a level 7, which is, my main level 7 account that I'm talking about, Robert, which is not the name I would like to use. I had to pick something different so that the trolls wouldn't find me. And then I have another account that reached level 6 that I still have. And it's a girl, my princess account, which was kind of like the girlfriend, so to speak, of Robert, but this time I didn't point game, but she still ended up being suspended. And then I had another level 7 girl at one point and another level 6 boy that also got suspended, just for being multiple accounts. Didn't do anything wrong, they just got suspended for being multiples. Okay, but thankfully they left the email portion still working. They didn't deactivate the full account, so I was able to hang on to it for many years. But one by one I started deleting these puppet accounts, just for the simple reason that I could not keep up with that many accounts. I just did not want to have to remember that many passwords, and they were serving no purpose. Once they could no longer do Answers, and now that Answers is closing down, I'm starting to question why I even have the handful that I still have. I guess it's just nostalgia or something. But, as time goes on, and who knows, maybe Yahoo will be bought out once again. I'm definitely thinking more seriously about letting go of more and more things that deal with this male alter ego that I clung on to for so many years. I call it little master points. If you do a Google image search of that name, you'll find some interesting results, but I don't advise it. So yeah, it's like I'm starting to think realistically about, just letting go of just more and more things that remind me of the past, and when I just clung on to this hope of being male or living as a male one day, which of course will not come into fruition. But so it's just symbolic. And I had so many pictures that I had drawn, like in high school before there was any Yahoo Answers, and I had drawn these pictures of this boy, that I wanted to become. Like, he had my coloration, but he was a boy, and it was my fantasy about what I wanted to look like if and when I'd get top surgery and whatnot. It was just a fantasy, he was both my alter ego as well as a separate entity from me altogether. It's like this fantasy life that I wanted to live as a male. And I would just draw pictures of him. And like a year or two ago, I tore up all those pictures in a fun, ceremonious way, and I pretty much destroyed them and threw them in a bag and put them in the dumpster. And I never looked back, and it doesn't even matter, how well drawn they were and how much time and effort I put into them. I just wanted to be rid of this part of me that thought I should or could be male. And so, it's just very symbolic. And on eBay, here I am trying to sell these, just a couple, some of these makeshift Chelsea boy dolls. And I'm not having any success. Nobody wants to bid on them. But what happened was, way back in 2012, I thought that they would never have a Chelsea boy doll, which, as I've shown on here before, they did come out with that in 2014 and 15. They started making actual Chelsea boys. So it's like, what do I do with all these makeshift boys? One of them I definitely want to keep. But some of them, it's like, why? Why did I make and collect so many of them? But unfortunately, there's just nobody that wants that on eBay. And it's looking like the auction will probably end with no bids. And Yahoo Answers is shut down, and may the 4th be with you.